Hey, what is up, mortals? It is TallDragon here, and before we get into today's video, there's something I'd like to say. I'd like to let you all know that we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time, so if you're interested, go in the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Secondly, if this video hits 300 likes by the end of the week, we will continue this what if. Thirdly, if you didn't know, only 41.3% of you guys are subscribed to us, so please hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the story. The police thoroughly swept through the rooms of Pro Hero Mandalay's home, but found no one. They had received numerous phone calls from surrounding neighbors stating that she had sent out a desperate call for help using her telepathic quirk. When the police had arrived, they found the hero laying on the floor of her kitchen, bloody and bruised, softly crying. After some questioning with the security guard at the front gate, they learned that Mandalay had entered the neighborhood with a young man who was helping her carry her groceries. Once the injured hero had recovered some, she revealed that she had been attacked by a quirkless kid named Izuku Midoriya. The sharp knock on the door woke Inko Midoriya from her nap. Sleepily rubbing her eyes, she got up from the couch and opened the front door, squinting against the late afternoon sun at two large figures in the doorway. Standing in front of her was a uniformed officer and a man in a suit with the head of a dog that she immediately recognized as Kenji Suragame, the chief of police.
Miss Midoriya?
He asked, his voice radiating authority, but also concern.
Is your son Izuku home? We need to speak with you both.
Inko shook her head to clear the fog from her mind. Was Izuku home? She didn't hear him come home, but she was asleep. Perhaps he was quiet so that he didn't wake her up.
I'm sorry, I was taking a nap. Let me go see if he's in his room.
Her mind raced as she walked down the dark hallway to Izuku's room. What had he gotten into now? Or was this about the incident with Bakugo? She slowly pushed the door open and peeked inside. No sign of him. Her heart started to pound as she considered the possibilities.
Izuku?
She called out to the empty house.
Are you home?
The silence of the house was deafening to her. She went back to the front room where the officer and Kenji had stepped inside and closed the door behind them.
I'm not sure he's home right now. He left early this morning to take a walk around town, he told me.
She explained.
Please have a seat and tell me what's going on.
The officers gave Inko Midoriya the entire story. After surveying all of the security footage on the cameras outside of the Wild Wild Pussycats headquarters, they discovered that Izuku had been sitting outside every day for the last few days, taking notes and recording the entrance. And then he followed Mandalay to her home every night, always keeping his distance. Footage of the day of the attack showed him entering her neighborhood, and shortly after the police were called. They showed her the pictures of the beaten hero and several captures from the video footage of Izuku just to confirm his identity. Inko sat, quiet and shaking, the tears running down her face. What had caused Izuku to do this? Why was he suddenly so violent and cruel? She felt she was a large part of the blame. Had she not given him enough attention? Had she downplayed his being quirkless? Should she not have given him the weights, the martial arts classes? Was she to blame for the monster that was now roaming the streets of the city?
I have no idea where he could be, Mr. Suragame. I'm so sorry this happened,
she said through her sobs. The tears came freely now.
I don't know where I could have failed as a parent. I tried so hard to give him everything he could need, and it just wasn't enough.
We understand, Miss Midoriya. This isn't your fault,
Kenji explained.
Some people are just inherently evil. We see this kind of situation all the time with small-time villains. People from a loving family and a good home turn bad, just because it's in their nature. We're so terribly sorry you had to find out this way.
The police left shortly after, thanking Inko for her help. She sat alone in the quiet house, crying and staring at the picture of her and Izuku she had placed on the table next to the doorway. He was one of the few lights in her life, and now that light had gone dark. Izuku lay in the grass beneath a large tree deep in the woods on the outskirts of the city, staring at the blue sky above him. His knuckles throbbed, swollen and red from the fight just hours earlier. The police would be on high alert now, scouring every corner of the city in an attempt to find him. They would probably go to his house first. He felt bad for his mother, who would certainly hear the news and be distraught. She didn't understand him or his reasoning for this. She had a quirk, after all. She couldn't possibly hope to understand. Suddenly, the bushes near him started to rustle. Izuku jumped up, ready to fight. He had grabbed a thick branch during his walk through the forest to protect himself if he was attacked. Out of the bushes came a strange-looking man, clad in black and red, a mask and headband covering his eyes and forehead. He had long black hair and a large katana on his back, as well as a knife on his hip. Izuku wasted no time in confronting him.
You must be one of the heroes sent to capture me.
Izuku said through gritted teeth. The man seemed surprised to find someone else this deep in the woods.
Well, you won't take me. I've beaten 2 heroes now, and I won't lose to you.
Izuku immediately rushed the man, brandishing his stick like a sword. The man barely managed to draw his katana when Izuku smashed his weapon into the man's knee. There was no reaction from the stranger, no sign of pain or discomfort. He stared, still confused at the child that was attacking him. Izuku moved to strike the man again, but his attack was met this time by the katana. The sword sliced through his stick like butter, sending most of it flying off into the woods. A hard shove knocked Izuku to his back. This man was definitely more than he would be able to handle. Izuku started to scramble up and run when he felt the slight slicing pain in the back of his leg. He continued to run, afraid of what might happen if this man got a hold of him, but after a few steps his entire body locked up. He fell face first on the cold forest floor, unable to move at all. He heard the footsteps approaching, and knew that he had failed. He would be taken back to the police and charged with his attack, and would be locked in prison for a long time, and carefully monitored even after he got out. Tears began to form in his eyes. He had come so far, just to lose to the semi-strong hero he fought. He really was pathetic. Izuku felt a foot on his arm, and he rolled over onto his back. Standing above him was the man with the katana. He stared down curiously at the boy under him. Then the man crouched down, squatting next to Izuku. He took a deep breath and began to explain who he was.
My name is Stain, and I am no hero,
he said slowly. He was careful to explain anything to this kid, in the event his assumption that this kid felt as he did was wrong.
In fact, I'm the opposite of a hero. I'm a villain, but not the kind you typically see on the street or in the news. The media calls me the hero killer, because that's what I do. I hunt down and kill the hero scum.
Izuku's eyes widened at these words. The man was a villain. This man thought heroes were scum, just like he did. He could help him, teach him to fight heroes and how to hide from the police and public so that he could get his revenge on them. He'd be able to carry out his plans with proper gear and help. The man saw the eyes of the child widen and assumed it was fear.
There's no reason to worry, kid. I'm not going to kill you. You're obviously no hero. If you have the police looking for you, you're probably confused as to why your body isn't responding to you right now. That's because I paralyzed you with my quirk, Blood Curdle. When I taste someone's blood, it paralyzes them. When you tried to run, I cut your leg to stop you.
Izuku began to regain his feeling in his body. His fingers started to twitch, and it wasn't long after that he could move again. He sat up, staring at Stain carefully, his body tensed and ready to run again if he sensed danger. But the man simply stood against the tree nearby, watching him. A short while later, Stain pushed himself off the tree and began to walk off into the forest. Izuku stood up, watching him as he disappeared into the bushes, weighing his options. Finally, he decided to follow the man. Izuku walked for what felt like hours, keeping his distance from the heavily armed man. Finally, he came to a small hut hidden amongst the trees and bushes. It was a simple building, covered in camouflage and dead leaves with boarded-up windows. Stain turned around to face the child.
So, are you deciding to join me?
He yelled to Izuku, who was half hiding behind the trees.
I can teach you how to fight heroes. I can give you weapons. I can show you what I've learned and how I operate. But it won't be easy, and I won't waste time if you fall behind. I have my own agenda.
Izuku stepped out from behind the trees, his bag on his shoulder and the stick in his hand. He nodded and walked up to Stain to stand in front of him. Stain held out his hand, a serious expression on his face. They shook hands, and Stain led him into the hut in the forest. The inside was nothing like the outside. The inside was riddled with technology. Computers and digital maps of the city, alarm systems, cameras in the forest.
The first thing we need to do is get you out of those civilian clothes. The police will be looking for you, and they'll know what you're wearing. You need to cover your face.
Stain started to rummage through a dresser, throwing identical outfits onto the bed behind him. Finally, he pulled out one similar to his, but smaller.
I made this in the event I ever took an apprentice. I guess you can have it. I'm not sure it will fit, but try it on.
Stain handed the outfit to Izuku, who hesitated.
The bathroom is down the hall on the left. I'm serious, try it on. Unless you'd rather go around town matching the exact description the entire city has on you.
Izuku decided that probably wasn't the best idea and went to change. The outfit fit perfectly, as if it was made for him. He looked in the mirror, checking the various angles to make sure everything fit properly. Then he headed back to Stain.
The red and black suit you well,
Stain chuckled. He gestured to the bed where various swords and knives lay.
Take your pick of weapon, or take all the weapons. So long as you carry them and still move, you're welcome to as many as you want.
Izuku took his time selecting his weapon, test swinging each sword and knife. None of them felt right in his hand. Finally, his eyes fell on a long metal staff propped up in the corner of the room. He walked over to it as Stain eyed him with curiosity. Izuku took the staff from its rest and spun it a few times, testing its weight and balance. It fit his hand like a glove, and had a decent amount of balanced weight to it. He looked over to Stain for approval to use it. Stain nodded his agreement. Izuku had no need to cut people, as he didn't have a quirk that relied on tasting his opponent's blood.
Now,
Stain said quietly,
let me show you what I do.
thank you all for watching the video to the end. Now there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video as well as the editors for this video. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the Discord that is in the description of this video and hit up the head of one of those areas. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you like the video. Until next time, peace out mortals, have an amazing day.